As a photographer, one of the most awkward things when I was starting out was shooting random people, taking photographs of people when they were out and about doing their normal thing. And as a documentary photographer, as a journalist, photojournalist, is something I had to get over pretty quickly. And in this episode, I want to share with you 5 little tips that kind of helped me get over that, and things that I've learned in my years of being a photographer. Because one of two things is going to happen when you pull out a camera. People are going to either gravitate to it or they're going to shy away from it. It's a fact. So let's dive into 5 simple tips. These are not really for weddings, but you can apply them to weddings. But they're a lot for photojournalism, street photography, travel photography, different things. Hopefully it helps make you a better photographer. Let's dive into it a little bit. I'm Matt Pierce. I'm the creative director and chief photographer for Route 3 Productions, photographers in Corpus Christi, Texas. You can visit our website, route3productions.com, or give me a call, 361-696-5762. My wife and I, Kelly, be more than happy to chat with you about your photography project, your wedding, special event, whatever you got coming up. We'd love to chat with you. But now, let's dive into 5 little quick tips on how to take photos of people while you're traveling. I'm Matt. Come along with me. Let's chat about it. So, it's really hard, especially if you're just starting out in photography, to take pictures of random people doing random things, which is always interesting. I've always found that to be very interesting, taking pictures of people doing normal things. I started out in photojournalism, right? I did. That was kind of where I started out in production and working for one of the major news outlets. Global news outlets, and I had the opportunity to go around the world and talk to people and video people and take photos of folks doing things that they just did on a normal every single day basis of their life. Now, as still an editorial photographer and videographer, because we do a lot of commercial work, we do a lot of editorial work, but we also do weddings. Now, in this new kind of genre of photography that I'm going in with my wife here, we still use these 5 points quite often. And they're things that some of them are kind of new. One of them at least is kind of new. But in general, getting down to the roots of these 5 simple things is really important. So let's dive right into it. Number 1, don't bring a lot of gear with you. Don't bring in, I've often said this, my go-to lens these days is a 70-200 1.8. Okay, that's a behemoth lens, okay? But when I'm out doing street photography or I'm out doing editorial work, something like that, documentary work, that behemoth lens just doesn't work. So I generally keep things small and don't take a lot of gear. It's like one lens, 24-70, very versatile, right? A smaller camera body, something that's not going to be so intrusive. Because smaller equipment kind of makes you blend in a little bit more, right? Like you're just the average everyday tourist. You're not some photographer coming in there taking pictures. And then as you're looking for these things to happen, they'll generally let you get a little bit closer, especially in foreign cultures. They'll let you get a little bit closer and get those really, because remember, we zoom with our feet, not with our lens, right? So keep that in mind. Smaller gear. Tip number 1, smaller gear, smaller lenses. They make you more approachable. I think that's a pretty basic observation, but it's a good one. It's a good one. The next tip I have for people who are really wanting to do this right is when you're traveling the world, you're in Mexico, you're in France, you're in Canada, wherever you're at, right? Even if you're here in the States, learn some of the local language or some of the local sayings. Learn a few words that are local to wherever you're at. And it tends to break the ice with people a little bit. You don't necessarily have to learn how to say, I'm a photographer and I want to take your picture. Don't, you say, muy buenos dias, like, hello, good day, how are you? It breaks the ice if you know a few words in the local language. So try to pick up a few, and not necessarily about photography. Just, show them. Have enough respect for them to learn a few languages or a few words in their local language. That always helps a lot. Yeah, it does. And it takes very little effort. I mean, you don't have to, I'm not a linguist by any stretch of the imagination, but picking up a few words in the local language really helps. Something else that's always helped me a lot is let people come into your space. Okay? That way it's psychology, right? This step, this trick number 3 is let people come into your space. Sit and find a perch, hang out, wait there for a little bit, and let somebody walk through your frame, right? Because, and I'm going to tell you why. Find a nice backdrop, find something interesting, something that's going on, right? And let somebody walk through it. Because again, like I say, it's psychology. They feel like if they walk through whatever you're doing, there's a good chance that they could be photographed. Well, let them invade your space. Don't go and invade their space. Okay? So don't just go and stick your camera lens up in front of somebody's face and say, I'm going to take a photo of you. Let them walk into it. Let them stand there in front of it. Let them realize that, sorry. And I think they act more natural when that happens. So you're always letting them kind of invade your space, and it takes a little time. It takes some patience. But that's a good rule of thumb to kind of stick with. Number 4, be open. Don't just walk in there and say, hey, I'm Matt. I'm the photographer. Start taking pictures. Don't do that. Don't do that. Show them some of the pictures on the back of your camera. Chat with them a little bit. Learn a little bit about what's going on, maybe. Like if you're, in Southeast Asia or India or something, you see this gold paint, this Tanaka on these people's face, and, talk to them a little bit about it, right? Explain to them a little bit about what's going on. If you see somebody at a soccer game, and they're wrapped up in a flag, hey, what's the deal with the flag, Talk to them, be open with them, and share your photos on the back of your camera. It's okay. Show it to them. It's fine. But just don't approach people like you're the big bad photographer. That's just goofy. Nobody wants that. So, and number 5, it's kind of a newer thing. Silent shutter. If you're a photographer, use that silent shutter. Okay? Nobody wants to hear that. Sound like a machine gun going off, right? Then you end up with 60 million photos on your camera if you're shooting in continuous. But nobody wants to do that. Silent shutter is key because they don't even realize you're taking their photo. You can kind of do it in stealth mode almost, right? So I think that's a huge thing. That's a huge part of it. So silent shutter, where you can do it in stealth mode, that's really key. So it's really not that simple. When you're out and about taking photos of people, and you don't want them to know that you're taking photos of them because you're trying to get that hidden moment, right? It's just 5 simple steps. Smaller equipment, smaller lenses, learn some words in the local language, try to blend in, let people come to you, let them invade your space, don't invade theirs. Be open and shoot with a silent shutter if you have it on your camera, if you have the luxury to have that option. I know most higher end cameras nowadays have that. If you have that silent shutter option, it's huge. And it's really not that difficult of things to do. Just kind of follow through with this. And, it's 5 simple little steps that allow you to get more into the moment and capture these intimate, quiet settings with people that allow you much more access and better photos. Because, photography is all about access. And part of that access is getting access to people and what they're doing. So let's keep that in mind. Let's think about it for a little bit and use these 5 simple little tricks to get more intimate, more close-up shots of people doing what people do. Because especially if you're documentary, editorial, street photography, or even weddings, you can get a lot closer to people. And those smaller lenses and smaller equipment allow you more access and being approachable. Not just like, I'm a photographer, bro. Nobody likes that. Nobody likes that. It's not cool because everybody thinks they're a photographer nowadays. It's just not cool. Lose the chip on your shoulder. Nobody cares. I'm the photographer, bro. Look at me. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. Because everybody thinks they're a photographer these days. It's what tips and tricks you use to create a better image than a guy with a camera that makes you a better photographer. These 5 little tips and tricks. So, hey, let's review right now. Smaller lenses, smaller gear for editorial photography. Learn some words in the local language. Be coachable. Let people invade your space. Be open and friendly with people. And silent shutter speeds. Those are the 5 tips I got for you on this week's podcast. Hey, I am Matt Pierce. I am the creative director and chief photographer for Route 3 Productions. I work for my wife, Kelly, who's amazing. Feel free to reach out to us if you have a wedding, special event, commercial project. You can reach us at route3productions.com, or you can call my cell phone, 361-696-5762. I look forward to talking with you. Take care of yourself. We'll talk next time. Adios, everyone.